Well, hello everybody. We're back on this early Sunday morning. Oh, I guess I should probably get rid of this thing. Um, so today we're going to try the Peach Garden Oath Temur Energy list from Worlds. It actually seems pretty interesting to me. Uh, it passes my eye test by a lot. Like, it looks on paper very strong. I'm iffy about the Scarab Gods, but I'm iffy about there being no Scarab Gods because the card's been super powerful in all of my testing. But other than that, the deck really has just everything I want in it from Teamer. And I also especially like the controlish sideboard plan. Um, this sideboard plan is a plan that I used to use in some of my Teamer Marvel decks there a little bit before the ban, and it always super impressed me how the deck could like convert and fight on an axis that opponents weren't expecting. Obviously, now that it showed up at Worlds, like people will expect it, but like, so you get this like little game of where you're like, I don't know, like kind of playing chess with your opponent on how you're going to sideboard, but like just to it doesn't really hurt the sideboard too much, and the essence scatters in the main deck feel incredibly good. Um, they are one of the better things that you can have in the mirror matches. Just the fact that there's four of them in all of the blue black decks now, just like show the power of that card. It is really, really well positioned in this current format. Um, but the commit and memory is like the only card that like doesn't jump off the page to me that feels good, but like it even does stuff. Like commit by itself is good. Memory is pretty decent. Commit's like a good answer to like a Scarab God, or like it's a hostage taker off the board or something that you don't need to deal with for an additional turn. I mean, like or like a problematic planeswalker that's about the ultimate, or even like there's several decks right now, like even like black white tokens and blue black control and stuff like that, that even run evolving wilds and like commit so good versus any deck that's sacrificing an evolving wilds, or like all the tune from effort decks. So like the card's probably fine, but like I'm saying, it's just the one card that jumps off the page to me is like feels like it's more of a sideboard thing. But if you're not playing Scarab God's main deck, you need some kind of hard answer to Scarab God, and it's a little bit cheaper than Confiscation Coup, and like it has a lot more applications than just Scarab Gods. So whereas like if I bring in Confiscation Coup, it's a lot more narrow. Hey Josh, and hey Flame Guts, what are you guys into? Welcome to the chat today. But yeah, this deck definitely passes my test. I'm pretty excited to actually get to play a couple games with it. So we'll just go ahead and jump into a match here. I think I actually remember to do everything today. I believe the deck list commands are working. I believe, let's see, I turned down the volume. I've closed all the other windows. Yeah, I think I'm on top of it today. Feeling good. Wouldn't mind to see a second Chandra in the sideboard, but I don't really know what to cut for it, and I'm not going to make any alterations to their deck, especially pre-testing it. Um, this end seems fine. This card is super powerful. We have a removal spell, we have an Attune to Ether, and we have a Servant, which really like sets us up for a potential like very strong 4-drop if we hit it. Yeah, Worlds is pretty interesting this year. I actually enjoyed watching several of the games. They had a few issues with glare, but other than that, I loved it. So this is kind of interesting as well. I like to say things are interesting. I don't know if you guys know that, but like everything's interesting. Um, so if I play the Forest and play this guy, then if I play this guy next turn, I still have to take an energy either way. So I'm just going to play this to get all my lands to come into play untapped. Kind of like wasting energy like this, but it makes our other fast land active. Yeah, so they killed an Abrade. So we're playing a Dino deck, which is kind of cool. That Dino's a bit of a problem. It's bigger on the ground than our Dinos, but we will, in theory, potentially be able to beat people with World of Virtuosos. The blue black deck, I do not think is particularly good. It only even went like 13 and 11 overall. Like it didn't have a particularly good record, and it doesn't pass my eye test. And I tried it last night on stream, and it felt like it's good versus a very specific meta and bad versus a very open meta. That's what it felt like to me anyway. But what do I know? Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. We already know he has this card, and we know this card's very problematic. So I believe it's pretty safe to just go ahead and smash this. Play the land that he knows about. And get across the table for 3. While holding up Essence Scatter. Well, I already love this Essence Scatter. Hey, Chris. Appreciate the auto host, man. You probably can't hear me at the moment, but if you can, I hope you're having a wonderful night. Chris is a great streamer, by the way. Anybody who's not watched him should go follow him. He streams a lot of very interesting brews, and he's very informative. Talks with his chat a lot. Couldn't recommend him more. I usually lurk in his chat most of the time that I'm like not watching League of Legends coverage or playing myself. He's a pretty solid player though. Big fan. I guess we just won't get a copter here. He's not like really playing anything else, and I'd rather protect my Bristling Hydra from like a 3rd removal spell. Well, there's some glory to be brought in a little while. It seems like he's F6ing. His connection is really good. I've not looked at the top 4 pairings, but I do not think so. I think he's probably not favored versus either of the blue-black decks. Sorry. I was going to look up the top 4 pairings. I figure he's not favored versus either of the 2 blue-black decks that are in the top 4. And I would assume that the mono red deck is favored versus both of the blue black decks. So I'm going to assume like a blue black deck beats him in the quarterfinals, the mono red deck beats Other Leighton in the quarterfinals, and the mono red deck goes on to win. But I don't know if it's best 4 of. I don't know if it's like best of 5 or best of 7 or best of 3. So it'll depend a lot on like what it's best of. If it's best of 3, I think he has a bit higher chance. And I think the red deck has a bit lower chance if it's like best of 7 or whatever. Basically, I like how that there's no tireless tracker in the format now, so I don't have to hold up those lands. But yeah, opponents just got here. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Sweltering Sun, Savage Stomp, or Braid. Rip. If I'm not mistaken, it's Javier versus Other Leighton and Huey versus Chu. I apologize if I'm pronouncing any of the names wrong. And in which case, I would expect it to be a Javier and Chu finals with Javier winning. But you know, there is some variance in Magic, and maybe like Huey beat several blue-black decks during the tournament, so maybe it's not as bad as I expect. Alright, so here we are versus a dinosaur deck. Let me update my stats real quick. So we're playing Peach Garden Oath Temur, 0-0. And we are 1-0 currently versus red-green dinos. Alright, sorry about that. So, versus the dinosaur deck, they have actually several cards that like an Abrade can target. They have, but like a lot of them have, they're going to have the mana producers, and they're going to have the Death Gorgers right off the bat, and they'll probably have those earlier rage guys. Don't really want to use it on an earlier rage guy, but like it can be. Confiscation Coup seems clearly pretty good here. I gotta agree with you, Blade Ogre. Fumigate seems exceptionally good in this format. The Torrential Gearhulks feel like they're big enough to block most things. What's this do? Put target spell. So this is good versus Carnage Tyrant. That's kind of cool. I don't think I want any of these other cards. If he showed us Chandra or something, we would want this, but like he's not showed it to us yet. So I think we can start by getting rid of the Magma Sprays. It's like some kind of argument to play Supreme Will. Seems like he could be tapped out a lot. What would be bad if I brought in the Supreme Will? Have to get rid of like 3 of these cards? Getting rid of 3 of these cards seems like a fairly big ask. Kind of don't like Servants on the draw. Feel like I'm usually using my turn 2 mana to cast like one of probably these 8 spells. Or even this. Alright, we'll try this. I gotta agree with you, Blade Ogre. I'm a big fan of the Fumigates in this format, but I'm also a fan of like changing it up and having some variants when we play, or some like different options. So this hand's kind of interesting. We are very land light, but we have a powerful Essence Scatter, and we have our powerful. We have like all of our powerful cards in this hand. I think I'm going to keep it on the draw. Like we can probably miss one land and still be reasonable. Probably even go to Attune for a blue land. This might have been a bit too greedy of a keep. This is probably a bit too greedy of a keep. What 3-drops do they have, and how badly do I care about them? I'm gonna go with none. They could have the 2/3 that gets lands, and they could have like the 3/2 that eats stuff. But overall, I don't think they have anything I care about. Are we gonna get energy? Oh lord, we got energy. This is great for us. We have double counterspell, and if we draw lands, we have like our 3 top end wonderfulness. So our opponent kept a more sketchy hand than even we did. Which is pretty impressive. Because we kept a sketcher. Feeling pretty good about this hand now, though. Could have played the Effort Hub to have this, but I'd rather have access to these 3 cards on the next turn. That one doesn't seem good enough to counterspell. Or it doesn't seem good enough to keep, rather. Um. Hmm. I'm gonna hold up the commit memory 1 turn just in case he like untaps and has Carnage Titan or something. Like didn't play 4, or he didn't play anything that seemed particularly great so far. So like this seems like a really good play here. So opponent's probably pretty close to dead right now. Yeah, opponent's tapped O, perfect, and scoops, but I don't think he was really getting out of this. Oh, commit memory is just great. I already love this card. My buddy, one of my friends who shall remain nameless, did not like the commit memory in this deck. I don't think, because he tapped and told me he really didn't want to play it. And like as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I kind of like the card's powerful and it does a lot of things. I'm still not sure if it should be main deck, but like I definitely don't hate having the card in the deck. Don't hate having the card in the deck whatsoever. I gotta go tell him how much I love it. Like how much it turns me on. Still not super sure that I love it or that I like it main deck, but like, ooh boy, that card was fun. So what do we got looking at us again? We have a ton of our powerful 3 drops. We have nothing for 2, and then we have another commit. I'm not absolutely sure that I think the commit's good enough. If we were on to play, I would easily keep this. On to draw, do I keep it? It's again probably kind of a loose keep, but we're going to try it. We have all of our lands. Okay, well, any deck that leads off with that, this is probably going to crush this hand. But these matchups are probably not very good to begin with, so. Yep, we're probably SOL here. I would say he's a gifts deck. We have 3 more artifact destruction in the sideboard. So that's helpful, but I have a fairly weak hand. Our 1/2s, or our 1/1s don't even match up well with his 1/2, so. Like our 3-drop doesn't match up well with his 4-drop, or 2-drop rather. God, Christ, I can't talk. That's pretty interesting. Kind of just want to kill it. He might have a counter spell, so I'd rather go ahead and do it now, I guess. Yeah, commit's pretty interesting. I definitely like the card. The card's already been amazing for us. We hit a Carnage Tyrant with it last game. I'm not 100% sure if it's a main deck card, but like I don't know that it's not a main deck card. I probably just need to play it more to find out. But yo, no, I love the card so far. Like that was just one game, but it worked out very well. By the way, what are you into, Dan? How you been doing, Bob? I mean, this deck did perform the best at Worlds, right? Like they went what, some ridiculous number with it. I think they had 2 mirrors, like versus each other, like Yui versus or like Yui versus Reed and Reed versus Yui or some BS like that. I don't exactly remember. So if you exclude the mirrors, the deck went like 11, or sorry, the deck went like it went 16-8 overall. So if you exclude the mirrors, it went 14-6, which is 70% versus a Worlds field. That's kind of ridiculous. Sorry. Yeah, Watch Wolf won the PTQ with it today, which is pretty nice. Watch Wolf is a pretty solid player. Always been a fan of Watch Wolf. Jonathan Sedinkas. Wonder if it's just worth killing one of those. Probably should have killed that and attacked. Yeah, not killing that and attacking seems very wrong. I think I missed out on 2 points of damage pretty hard because we know we're not blocking and we know we're using the lightning harness now. So that was a pretty bad play mistake by me. I got to talking and not paying attention. Also let him untap and potentially have negate, which is wrong as well. So yeah, it's pretty safe to say I'm not playing particularly well. say there's a decent amount of chance that he's going to essence scatter this little guy, but I'd rather him essence scatter it than the big guy. He has the Gearhulks in the sideboard too, which really help with the commit. Commit's one of the cleaner answers to Scarab God as well, or like a clean answer to a what do you call it? Like a planeswalker that's going crazy on you or something that's gotten out of control. So I definitely would essence scatter any resolvable threat. We'll make another token here too. We're going to try to get this game over with before he starts drawing lands. This is a pretty fast clock. Yeah. Opponent agrees. Opponent says this game is over. Don't really know what our opponent's playing yet. Based on seeing um, a couple of Efferborns and some just cat cells, I would automatically assume that he's playing like the blue-black gifts deck and he just got a poor mana draw, but like that just be an assumption. Could be playing like a more aggro-ish deck. Yeah, he could be. I really don't like this card in that style deck, but yeah, he could be something like in the Thief deck as well, like you're talking about. Either way, I believe the Braid's good versus either of them. The Trivial Gearhulks feel pretty decent versus either of them. It's like a catch-up spell for the mid game that they can't really hit. Confiscation Coup seems insanely good if they're playing Scarab God. They probably have Verascus, so like Chandra might not be as good as normal. He didn't show me anything that I really wanted to Essence Scatter, but I think I'm just going to cut some of these. He's probably got Fatal Pushes, right? I think I cut my servants way too much. Just don't want any of my servants. I believe I cut servants way too much. Servants is one of those cards that I've always liked pre-board, but always hated post-board. This hand seems reasonable. We have a 2-drop, we have a removal spell. Um, we have a powerful 3 and a powerful 4. So like even if he has a scat scale, we still have a 2/3/4. Huh. Sideboarded into Duresses? That's kind of interesting. That makes me want to Essence Scatters less for future games. Took the removal spell. To see if we get pushed. We did not get pushed. It makes us Mundo happy. Rip. I don't put a whole lot of value in this Long Tusk Cub versus a deck that has Fatal Pushes in general, so I think I'm willing to trade this for this. Also give up 2 energy in the process and potentially get blown out a little bit by Fatal Push. Like they might trade and he kills this, or he might just kill this after I use 2 energy. But Either way, I don't put a lot of stock in just this card versus a deck that has 1 mana answers. I'm not going to use the energy because I'm still a bit afraid of a fatal push. And I don't put a lot of stock in our ground creatures anyway. Like I could just use the energy this turn, he block next turn or something. So I'd rather keep the energy to make the Whirler Virtuoso better. Assume he's going to take this guy and I'm going to be sad. It's not the end of the world, but certainly not happy about it. Yeah, I'm just going to play this thing. If he's got a Scarab God, that's great, but I don't really feel like I can play around waiting forever anyway. Again, I would trade this for this if given the opportunity. Either way, this thing is becoming a 3-3 this turn and a 4-4 this turn. If he kills it next turn, he kills it. I don't care. Just getting some amount of damage in. Scarab God would be a hard card to beat here, but that's about it, really. Their Hostage Taker's not that bad. Sure. That was a great draw. So let's grab this thing. Let's play this thing. And let's get our Whirler Virtuoso back because we can end the game with a Whirler Virtuoso. He's at 13. It's kind of easy to end the game probably by just making 2 more tokens and then having the Torrential Gearhulk if we need it. Hey Corey, what are you into today, bub? So he's blue-black, Hostage Taker, mid-range weirdness. Alright. Update my little sheet. I don't think that impacts this game at all. I'm willing to let him have that. Pretty sure the only cards that I want to counterspell at this point are Hostage Taker and Scarab God. That could be wrong though, because he could just like hit a duress or something. Don't care about that either. Pretty sure I'm skipping tomorrow because it's kind of like a stupid format. I'm pretty offended about how they even did it. If we had a 6th land, it would have probably been okay to Essence Scatter literally anything that I could target. But we don't know that we have a 6th land, and I'm pretty afraid of a Scarab God still. There's a good chance that I play this deck if I did show up, but I doubt I'll show up. I'll probably stay home and watch Worlds because they have disgusted me so. Pretty annoyed and mad at that store at the moment. So I know I went to where he can actually target the Bristling Hydra, but I don't care about the Bristling Hydra. Like, I think these are win condition at this point in the game. Excuse me. How are our frames doing? Nice. Our frames are doing well tonight. Very happy to trade this for the Hydra. I just want the gifted Efferborn off the board in any manner possible to make our kill condition better. Alright, so they had a fatal push. Yeah, that makes things a little closer. Still not super close because we have a Torrential Gearhulk that can like buy back in a braid or something. I mean, if I did go tomorrow, I'm literally going to concede to every opponent and not play a game either way. Or I'm just like not going to mulligan, not going to sideboard, and go through the motions at worst. Yeah, kind of fine with this still. I plan on using this Gearhulk this turn on something. Providing he doesn't like give us something that we need to kill. That's fine. Alright, let's Gearhulk o'clock. So he has a counterspell for the Gearhulk? Okay then. The game got a little closer then. Especially if he has another nice removal spell. It's Sunday Showdown. It's 3 to 4 rounds depending on how many people show up with no top 4 split. It's going to be mostly casuals. We're giving out 10 promo packs. The promo packs go to the new players first, etc. Which I'm fine with. Had to get rid of the third hostage taker. It's kind of brutal. To be honest, I'd be fine with the format. The reason I'm annoyed at the format is 100% because they've changed what it is multiple times now. Like, they can't make up their mind, and within a 14-hour period, they changed what it was twice. I assume 2 p.m., but don't hold me to that. So if he's got another Fatal Push, this kind of sucks for us. If he doesn't have another Fatal Push, we're in really good shape. So we have 2 lethal threats now. Could draw like a Vraska's Contempt or something, and that would be kind of good. Can't be a Vraska's Contempt, I guess. He would have just used it. Guess he could have an untapped land in his hand and a Vraska's Contempt. This is a pretty good game. He never got to the Scarab God. We have a lot of outs, even if he did have like an answer here, like we just draw a Glorybringer or something. Let me get you a link, Dan, while I pop this up. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this deck, but we kind of knew we liked Temur before we started. 1 second, Dan. I'll get you a link, bub. So if you guys like what you're watching tonight, make sure to follow us here on Twitch. And also, if you really like what you're watching, click the links down below to the Twitter to see every time we go live, every deck list we play, and a link to our YouTube. If you're watching from the YouTube, keep in mind that in the description below every video, there's a link to my Twitch, my Twitter, and the deck list we're currently playing. And if you're in chat, you can always type !deck list. That's kind of weird. So I guess our opponent didn't accept that cue. Because that certainly wasn't 30 seconds. Or if it was, I am blind. Yeah, this deck's how pretty much how I like it. The torrential gearhulks have already been amazing. The commit hit a Carnage Tyrant, which was really nice. Yeah, kind of like it. Have to play more to see how we feel about the Scarab God or not, but I trust people to test that well. But then again, Brad Nelson and his crew tested and had a different result, so who knows really, right? So this hand looks great. We have a removal spell, we have another Essence Scatter, and Essence Scatter is exceptionally good in this format. We also have a 2-drop and a 3-drop if we need it, and we have Baby Attune. Attune. I feel like most games that you have a turn 1 Attune, you win. My sinuses are still being a little bit aggravating today. Seems like I can't get over it. It's making my eyes water and stuff. Got this nice Fruit Punch Gatorade. Spoiler for all the locals. You can bring me Fruit Punch Gatorade at all times and make me happy. Way more busted than like Gianna Michaels. See that someone is as big a pervert as I am in this chat. I'll let the people Google that who wants to. If they don't know who we're talking about. It entertains me, by the way. So it's very likely a mirror match. I guess he saw this one, so just go ahead and dump a. Kind of just want to dump the servant on the table. Gives us more options for next turn, I think, and I think the Lone Tusk Cub has more value in the late game. If he just kills it, he kills it. Not that big of a deal. So there's his. That was a good draw. Is it bad that I kind of want to save the Essence Scatter for just whatever he plays on this turn? That might not be right. I might should have just played the Cub. Literally hit anything I can hit with a Scatter, though, so. Seems like it worked out well. I don't know that it was the right play, but it seems like it worked out well. Really wanted to land there. So if I play this guy, he can die to Glorybringer. So I guess I'll just play this guy. Yeah, I agree. I think Essence Scatter is very good in this format in general. It wasn't Glorybringer, so I guess that's a small reprieve. And a Lone Tusk Cub. I guess we will not make a token this turn then. Land? That's not a land. I kind of want to kill this thing while I can. But like, he has a lot more powerful cards than this little guy. Yeah, we could be having a problem this game. We have a lot of tools in our hand, but we were just too slow to deploy them. What how you sideboard this match? It's going to be a glory bringer and a rip for us because we no longer have the harness lightning. But I think we're fair enough behind that. We're in pretty rough shape here. It's not unwinnable, but it's certainly rough shape. Well, that was a great draw. Just in case they've upgraded to negate or something, we'll go ahead and spin this now. I probably could have waited. It's already exerted and all that, but like, there's some percentage chance that he has a counter spell. I have saw Temur decks that have spell pierces and or negates main deck. Like, we don't know that they're playing this build, so. I'm going to lead with these two first. That way I have protection for my Bristling Hydra when I play it next turn. Yeah, we just need him to brick a couple more turns and we're in pretty good. Oh, wow. So he didn't even have the answer to the Lone Tusk Cub. That is great. And he missed on that turn. We might steal this game. Wow, boys. That was a great draw. Alright, let's get this game over with then. He's hell-bent. If he wasn't hell-bent, I couldn't do this, so I think he should have held that land. Like, I get an extra point of damage because of that. Oh god, we're massively ahead now. And by the way, welcome back, Gua. And he conceded. He's done. Wow, that's pretty interesting. He definitely flooded. Played double our lands, and this could be a land too. Alright. So let's think about sideboarding this match. I believe Confiscation Coup to be pretty good here, especially because we don't know if they're playing Scarab God. If they're playing Scarab God, it's like insane. If we knew for a fact that they didn't have Black Man in the deck, we probably like the Scarab God's list. Oh, also I forgot to say welcome back to 10th Degree. But some of the interesting things is like Chandra's defeat. It's good versus Glorybringer, it's good versus Whirler Virtuoso, it's good versus Chandra, but in the past I've actually sideboarded out my Glorybringers in this match pretty often. It doesn't look like I'm going to be sideboarding them out in this particular build, so that makes me think the Chandra's defeat is considerably better than it was. Kind of feel like I want to sideboard these in. Kind of want to sideboard this in as well. It's like Magma Sprays probably are definitely not good. Kind of want to cut the Servants as well. Spoiler, I cut Disturbance from nearly every match. What other card would I bring in? Abrades do a lot. Like, Abrades can kill Rogue Refiners, Whirler Virtuosos, and Lone Tusk Cubs early in the game. Also, Abrades are good if your opponent has Skyship, which my last two Temur opponents both had Skyship. It's not a great card, but it feels like it's okay. But it has a minimum of 8 targets. And sure, your Harness Lightnings can kill those same 8 targets, but like you want to save as many Harness Lightnings as you can for their Glory Bringers and their Lone Tusk Cubs. I'm actually thinking about sideboarding in. I'm debating between the Effer Spear Harvester, the Supreme Will, and the Abrade. Glimmer does do some things. Think I'm gonna go with the Abrade on the draw, maybe the Supreme Will on the play. Yeah, just keeping their board cleared seems fine. I think I'll bring the Supreme Will back in on the play. Oh, what do we got here? Alright, this hand's great. We have multiple removal spells, and we have our best free drop. We do not have a tune, but it's not my build. Keep in mind, this is the Peach Garden Oak build from Worlds, and they clearly have a plan. Like they didn't go to Worlds without having a plan versus Temur. I just don't know what their plan is. I should have paid more attention to how they sideboarded at Worlds. I didn't watch Worlds closely enough. Unfortunately, League of Legends Worlds has been crushing me time wise. Anyway, that's kind of interesting. So they didn't have a 2-drop this turn either? Or are they just holding up Essence Scatter for a Rogue Refiner or something? There has been a lot of content to watch, at least if you're a nerd like me that watches lots of different games. Um, it's hard for me not to root for SKT1 because they've been dominant for so many years and like Faker's a god, but like I think Hooney is a below average player and I don't like Peanut. I don't really like Blank, so like I guess I'll answer that question by saying SKT1, but in reality, like BBD is like the new god of League of Legends, so it's hard not to root for Longzhu as well. Like BBD's died only 44 times in 50 matches. That is so ridiculous. All right, so I guess we do bring Glimmers in, or at least he brought Glimmer in. But dying 44 times in just 44 times in 50 matches is ridiculous. In 44% of his games, he's not died. I just don't think they're as good in League of Legends. They're pretty entertaining to watch, especially when they're like playing versus other weaker teams like the Chinese teams. But it just doesn't feel like it's good enough to counterspell, even though it replaces itself. I mean, Faker's not had a good Worlds. He's got dominated in every match so far. He's not did well in CS. Um, he's just not had a good Worlds. Like our opponent and I are both just playing like weird control decks now. This is uh SKT won dicked on C9, but like Faker didn't do particularly well in lane. They had roughly the same CS. Like he did not have a dominant performance. They dominated him in like the other two lanes and out of team fighting and stuff, and it was like one of the most dominating wins at Worlds overall. But like Faker himself didn't seem like they did well or didn't do well. They've just been ganking mid over and over and over, which is what you have to do to beat them. All right, so this is kind of interesting. Now he has 8 mana, so he gets about 1,000,000 little dudes. I think we have to Essence Scatter this one, even though I don't really want to. But he sideboarded in Supreme Will as well. This is bad for us. Maybe we should be playing the full control deck as well, then? So he's got the control package and he's got the swamp. That seems pretty good for him. I'm willing to trade this for 2 or for 6 of his energy if that's what he wants to do. Like, if he wants to trade this for 2 Thopters, I feel like that's a pretty good trade for me. Realistically speaking, we're going to have a hard time beating a Scarab God anyway. Man, the SKT EDG game was one of the best games I've ever watched. Oh, wow, Lord. I don't have this up. I'm sorry, guys. Hey, Storm041602. Welcome to the channel. I'm just worried about Scarab God. I think my hand's pretty good versus non-Scarab God type things, but if opponent just slams a Scarab God, we don't really have an answer. It's just Scarab God that worries me. Oh, that's Nissa. Nissa's a pretty good card too. We don't. We don't even have Nissa in our sideboard, do we? Nah. But he left this untapped. That means he has Essence Scatter, right? Yep, he had Essence Scatter. Yeah, we're not in great shape anymore. Especially if he has an answer to the Glorybringer, but like he can still. Yeah, it looks like it kind of shuffled them together. Sure, that's unfortunate, but it does work. A long tusk cub of his own. Be interesting to see whether he ultimates the Nissa or makes a 5/5. Or he just buys something back. He's just getting a Rogue Refiner back. Alright, well, that's great for us then, right? We killed a Rogue Refiner with the Braid. We killed the Long Tusk Cub with the Lightning Harness. And kill his Nissa? So he's ahead a few cards, but like it's not the end of the world? So he's like 3 cards ahead of us with his draw step, but we're stable on the board right now, and we have a lot of good draws. It's just going to depend on how powerful the 3 cards he has is. Like, if one of them's just a Scarab God, we're in deep doo-doo, but like, besides Scarab God, it's not really a lot of things we're super worried about. Could have a Torrential Gearhulk, I guess. That would be bad for us. Alright, well, I guess we're just going to play this too then. Probably will let us find out whether he has a Gearhulk or not. Alright, that's kind of interesting. I'm not pumping this up because he could just have an Abrade to kill it. So it looks like our opponent's just flooding again. Yeah, look, our opponent just flooded out again. Feel like we got pretty fortunate. We were pretty far behind both of those games. Hey, welcome to the chat, MotoDad 2004. Appreciate the follow. I agree. I agree. I would not have bought back that for like maybe if it was a much more powerful card that he was getting, if he was getting like a Scarab God or like a 5 drop of some kind, maybe. But like to just get a Whirler Virtuoso, or sorry, just get a Rogue Refiner, I don't think it was worth it at all. Alright, so I've played this opponent several times in the past couple of weeks, and I think we've split them about even. We're going to keep this hand. It's pretty good, but it's pretty slow. But this guy typically plays mono red, so I don't really want to mulligan a double Hydra draw versus mono red. Land? That's not a land, but it is another 2-drop, so that being the fact that it's another 2-drop makes it pretty safe to go ahead and play this 2-drop because I'll have a play for the following turn, even if he has a removal spell for this. Which we assume he'll have a removal spell for this. Rip. Opponent's had a really good start. Basic Island would be a great draw. Yeah, it's one of the few cards that gets to attack and block, or gets to attack and like uh be a big blocker for Hazard and stuff as well if you need it to be. I would snap trade this guy for this guy if given the opportunity. I think this is a game that we would have easily won on the draw, but or on the play, but it's going to be hard to win on the draw. So we'll drop down to 11 here. Land? That's not a land. Still, it's our best card in the match, but just may not be good enough right now. Standard's pretty good this format. And welcome to the chat, MG Flora? Flora, that sounds good. Have you anything in the Spice Corner? We've worked on a black-white tokens deck that we like pretty good, and we've worked on we're constantly working on blue-white approach in this format, or in this room, but as for Spice, not really. So it seems like another one of our opponents are just flooding. Versus the red decks, you do have to end the game. So if we use one of these, we go down, then we like cast that. Probably not attacking with it this turn, so I don't think there's any reason to get it. Just gonna play this guy. It saves us more blockers. Have been pretty lucky. Blue-white approach, I think, is the best game 1 deck in the format, and I think it's a pretty good deck overall. So even our mono-red opponent's flooding today. We still are at a virtual 6 life though, so like if he has any burn spells in his hand whatsoever, like it can get pretty harrowing still. Alright, so I think it's safe to make a couple of these now. Gotta have something to start pressuring his life total with. There's a good argument that I should have played one of these last turn. Or made one of these last turn, rather. They seem to me like they're still, like, at best 50-50 versus mono red. And I don't know if I'm willing to play a deck that's just 50-50 versus mono red in this format. We tried it on stream last night, and we didn't really like it, but like I believe it was metagame specifically for beating the Temur decks, and like we only got paired versus one, deck with basic forest in it whatsoever in our testing, and we absolutely wrecked that deck. So I think it's just metagame. Yeah, so we're gonna take 2 damage here, down to 8. The commit memory's kind of a good card in our hand. So like he used to play a Hazard here, and the Hazard only gets to eat one little thing, which isn't that big of a deal. And then we get to commit it, and he doesn't get to draw it again for 2 turns. I debate that. I believe that my blue white matches. I believe my blue white approach deck crushes the blue black decks. So what are we willing to get rid of? Kind of think I'm just willing to get rid of this servant, but it's probably safer to get rid of a token. It's probably safer to get rid of a token. Blue white approach does. Blue white approach is about 50-50, maybe 55-45 versus mono red. You win most of the games that you win the dice roll. You lose most of the games you don't. But you just smash Temur Energy. Like the Temur Energy games aren't particularly close. I tapped my mana wrong, but whatever. I'm gonna attack with this as well. We still have 4 blockers. We got to get the game over with. Sultai Energy seems kind of strong to me. It's a hard match for blue white approach, but like it it's probably pretty bad versus the other red decks. Or sorry, the other energy decks. Like I don't think Sultai Energy beats Temur Energy, and that's my biggest complaint about the deck. Alright, so what am I playing this turn? I'm probably just playing another Bristling Hydra. So if I guess I want to attack with that Bristling Hydra, that's better to save the energy. Well, I mean, I'm 80% versus the field so far this entire season, but like the thing about blue white approach versus blue black, and I'm not saying all blue black decks. I'm positive that there's blue black decks that crush blue white approach. For example, like J Bone Capone's blue black deck has glint siphoners and things in the sideboard and lost legacies, which makes it very very hard for me to win. But I'm just rating the blue black deck from Exactly Worlds. From Exactly Worlds, they have only 5 kill conditions in their main deck and only 4 hard counter spells in their main deck. And I just have way too many answers for those 5 kill conditions to ever beat me game 1. Sure, they might be able to stop me from beating them with approach, but they can't beat my deserts and my rivulets. Like, I'm going to millstone them game 1 nearly 100% of the time. Game 2 gets a little more difficult because they get the 4 fast Canta and they get a 3rd Field of Rune. But I still believe it to be slightly in our favor because I think the deserts pushes it over the top. So I didn't want him to like draw a card and throw 2 damage to our head. Like we're at 8 life already. This puts us at 6 life. So like, just him playing or just him getting the extra 2 damage from Hazaret there wasn't something that I really wanted. So he's going to definitely be playing his one dude this turn. So we're going to need to have 4 blockers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blockers. So let's go. All right, so he's done. Oh, you're talking about Mono Red and Temur too. I thought you were talking about the Temur match is kind of like weird, right? Like Like blue white approach would never beat this teamer list. This teamer list has 5 counter spells post board plus a gear hulk. Like blue white approach is never beating this teamer list. But for the format as a whole, up until now, most of the teamer lists had been shaving counter spells. They'd been playing like 3 negates. And to beat blue white approach, you have to have 2 counter spells roughly in your top 15 to 20 cards. And up until this point of the format, they've just not been able to do that. Or they've not been doing that. I mean, obviously they're able to do it. As for the mono red match, like Authority buys you a lot of time, Regal Caracol buys you a lot of time, but like I said, that's a hard match. I count that match is like 55-45, 50-50. It depends a lot on the dice row. Like you struggle very bad versus the dice row, but you have a lot of tools versus them, right? Like you have Gideons and Farm to Markets and Effer Meltdowns, so like you're pretty good versus their early game. So as long as like you can find a way to handle Hazard or Chandra by the time Hazard or Chandra comes out, you're in a pretty good spot. Anyway, so versus Mono Red, cards that we're going to bring in, we're obviously going to bring in the removal spells, and we're going to bring in this Effer Spear Harvester. Um, Confiscation Coup is kind of interesting. It can still hazard it. I don't know if that's good enough, but like it can do it. Let's start with what don't we want versus them. The Glory Bringers feel like something I don't really want. Yeah, six counter spells makes it hard. Like I'm saying, I'm just going by what's been the most common builds. The Commit Memory was good last game, but overall, I think it's like 4 mana and kind of awkward, especially on the draw. The Glory Bringers probably isn't great either because of how many Chandra's defeats they have access to. Um, Tapping 5 mana for them to tap 1 mana doesn't feel wonderful. Don't really have anything else I want to bring in though. I guess we'll leave one in. Like the card's decent in the match, but like it's not what you win the match with, and it seems like it can get you blown out pretty hard. I almost want the Supreme Will. Yeah, I mean it's kind of interesting. This isn't like super good, but this is our stats with mono or with blue white approach so far this season. Um, it all depends on how many counter spells the energy decks have. Mono red is a hard match. Like this says we're winning 66% of our games, but I think this is just such a small sample size that it doesn't count. I feel like I'm not favored versus mono red. Feels like it's a lot on the dice roll. This is the blue white approach list that we've currently been playing on stream, by the way, to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Like the farm to markets help you a lot versus decks like that, but you're not going to beat the teamer decks or the Sultai decks that run like a ton of counter spells. This is our last blue white approach list. It's felt pretty good. Anyway, let's go back over here to the game. So we have 1 land. We're gonna go ahead and mulligan it. This hand seems fine, even though it only has double Effer hub. The servant's gonna give us enough energy. Duress actually isn't that bad. Um, the deck generally plays off the top for the most part anyway. And you have 6 Wrath of Gods, and Wrath of Gods what you need versus energy more than anything. So them just like pulling a Wrath of God out of your hand on like turn 3 or 4, and you just drawing another one or finding another one generally is good enough to beat them. Like I really think they should be overloading on counter spells and not worrying too much about duresses. Like when my opponents cast duress on me and like then they don't have a negate later in the game, it's just mind blowing. But like we have the 6 Wrath of Gods, which really help versus energy, and then we have the 7 pseudo removal spells. Well, again, we were talking about the blue-black build from Exactly Worlds, and the blue-black build from Exactly Worlds only has 4 hard counter spells main deck. They have 0 negates main deck. Um, they only have 5 ways to kill you at all in their entire deck. And even with all of their hard counter spells, like those 5 ways to kill you don't beat our 17 answers to those cards. And we win with these. When it comes out of the sideboard, they have 2 negates in their sideboard, so they go up to 6 hard counter spells, and we bring in 5 hard counter spells. So we have roughly the same amount of control post board. And they have so many dead cards in their deck main deck. They have 4 Essence Scatters that are dead main deck. They have 4 Fatal Push that are dead main deck. So they have like 8 main deck dead cards where we have 0 main deck dead cards. But realistically speaking, the Azcanta is the only card in the match that matters, and they have 3 Azcantas and 2 Field of Runes, but we have 4 cast outs to like try to fight for their Azcantas. We'll keep that. We need to land. But it basically just goes to we have 17 answers. Even if they draw all 4 of their disallows, it's hard for them to stop our 17 answers. Game 2 and 3 are a much different animal, but Game 1's pretty favored for us. You just have to keep an eye on your library count. So that's a pretty good card here. We're going to lead with the Effort Hub first, and the... that's kind of interesting. But game 2 and 3 is a lot harder. Like I said, they'll have like some number of duress and some number of negates. But the cards that are really hard for the blue-white approach deck to beat out of blue-black are things like Glint Siphoner. The cards that are hard for you to beat from like mono red is Beaumont Courier. Like you don't really have that many hard removal spells to lift them off the game. So like even if they only draw 2 or 3 cards of those cards, it's ridiculous. For the mirror, probably not. It's too narrow. Like Ixalan's Binding might be better. Ixalan's Binding is bugged on Moto right now. You can cast the cards that are under it, which is why we've not tested it. But Ixalan's Binding is a card that I want to test. It's great versus Scarab God. It's great versus Hazoret. It's great versus Chandra. And it's great versus like Azcanta, which is the most important card in the blue-on-blue control matches. I'm not actually sure what I want to cast here. The Harness Lightning can prevent the most damage because odds are they're going to have like a removal spell or a crasher or something to begin with. Also, the Harness Lightning builds us up a little bit of energy. And I think we're just going to hold back the Harness Lightning. Yeah, that is the one benefit that I can see, but I don't think I would bring it in just for Beaumont because it doesn't hit anything else in that deck. But Ixalan's Binding is a card that I really want to look at when it's like not bugged on Moto. I think Ixalan's Binding has a place in the sideboard. It just happens to be bugged on Moto right now, so we can't really even test it. This is kind of interesting. On this turn, we have access to playing like a Whirler Virtuoso, but we use 2 energy and we get no extra value from it. I guess he can't abrade this, so we'll just play this turn. This also, like if he plays Chandra next turn and kills it, keeps Chandra under control a little bit. He could have like Shock and Lightning Strike, but oh wow. So now opponent just doesn't even have mana. We are running weird today. Alright, we're going to start with an attack. We're not going to pump it up now because if we put 1 counter on it, he has the ability to lightning harness it, or sorry, lightning strike it in response. And we'd lose it. We'll go ahead and play this one second. We're still playing around Lightning Strike. Chandra's defeat. I value the Long Tusk Cub strong enough that I'm not going to use the energy there. The energy is also useful next turn for Bristling Hydra as well. Yeah, our opponents have had terrible land all day. Like, we were running hot today. It's kind of hard to rate a deck when you're running this hot, to be honest. Alright, we'll play this guy then. Playing 2 threats seems better than 1. So what are you killing? Okay, you're killing that guy. It's going to make this guy some number of big. So we have to use 1 energy to cast this, so we need at least 5 to make this not be able to kill or be killed by another lightning strike / a braid type spell. It can die to a Chandra, but if he's just killing it with Chandra, I'm fine with that. I could have done 1 less damage and not let it die to Chandra either, which is probably the better play. Yeah, that seems like a mistake. I feel like I punted that turn. I should have played around it, Chandra being able to kill the second cub. It ended up not mattering, but that was a fairly bad mistake, I think. That could have been like a game costing mistake if things went like perfect for opponent. Yeah. So the deck's still winning regardless of how poorly I'm playing. Well, that's kind of nice that the deck's still winning regardless of how poorly I'm playing. I am definitely not playing particularly well, but it is 1:30 a.m. where I live, and I watched 16 hours of coverage today, so. Um. Anyway, remember, if you guys like what you're watching, please give us a follow and click the links down below to my Twitter, where you'll find all of the deck lists we play every time we go live, and my YouTube. And if you're watching from the YouTube, keep in mind that the deck list, the link to the Twitch, and the link to the Twitters is in the description below every video. I actually have 21 people coming out to watch this tonight. Wow, we're actually paired versus another 4-0. Is this one of the rare times that Moto's matchmaking works well? This is kind of an interesting hand. I think I'm going to keep it, but it might not be a good keep. Like, I think these cards are pretty powerful in the current meta. Actually, I don't know. I probably shouldn't have kept this hand. This hand doesn't feel like a keep versus anything, the more I think about it. Yeah, this was a bad keep. Oh god, it was a super bad keep. I'm not actually sure what that card is. Visor of... Yeah. I have no idea what that card is. The opponent led with a Braid, which is their, or sorry, led with Beaumont Courier, which is their by far best one play. Best turn 1 play. Yeah, we'll say English. And this hand was a very, very bad keep. They have their best turn 2 play as well. I think we're supposed to be favored versus mono red, but you can always just lose to mono red. So we'll kill this thing. 3 mana flasher that blinks creature that attacked or blocked his turn. Actually sounds pretty decent. What's his power and toughness and what colors is it? So if opponent has just has Hazard, we're dead, but like feels like we're pretty close to dead either way. I'm not going to play this turn because it's too easy for him just to have a removal spell. So I'm not going to be willing to take 2 damage to hold up an Essence Scatter for a Hazard. Next turn when we play Whirler Virtuoso, because of the Effort Hub, we'll be able to at least get 1 Fopter regardless. Alright, well that's good enough that I still have to counterspell it. It's going to be hard for us to beat it. This card's really running away with the game. Had this been like a Sosgard Mage, we'd have been in amazing shape this game. White 2/2. Card seems like it does a lot. 3 mana flash is always pretty good. Nimble Obtrusionist or whatever is like another one of those cards that you feel like just should be getting a lot more play. So I assume this thing's dying. And we're in pretty bad shape right now. How good would a Magma Spray have been last turn? He's down to 1 card, but like he gets to get 5 more cards here. Apparently started dropping a few frames. I hope I'm not lagging for you guys. No, don't kill that. Now you get to get 6 more cards because you don't have to kill it this turn if you don't want. Hmm. Well, I guess we have to at least kill that thing. Could just kill this thing instead because he's very likely to sack this one. That seems reasonable. Like if all he wants to do next turn's 1 damage, then I'm fine with that. So he probably needs to sack that thing at the end of his turn anyway, right? Probably should sack it in response right now because like he could hit a lightning helix or something. He can turn the Glorybringer into a 1/1, or he can like look at the 5 cards in his hand and figure out how he's going to beat us. I've gotten lucky in spots like this before, but we're clearly not favored in a spot like this. Well, he didn't have a lightning hook strike, so that's already step 1. That's kind of bad. That puts us at 11 with 3 deserts in play, so we're, and I'm making quotation marks with my hands right here, we're at 5 life. Alright, so that's a Chandra. And that's a Beaumont. That's actually pretty good for us. And by pretty good for us, I mean it's still pretty miserable for us. But I guess the best thing that could happen here is he kills the Glorybringer of Chandra. That's not killing the Glorybringer of Chandra. That's using mana for something. Oh yeah, we're in bad shape. Ooh, a second creature? Yeah, that's pretty strong too. Think we might have won this game on the play. Oh. Oh god, I F6 through my attack step. That was a mistake. Alright, this game's over. I was going to deal 4 damage to that and kill this. But now the game's just over because I F6 by accident. Or not F6, clicked through it by accident. So, rip. That was pretty atrocious of us. This deck does not run Ronus. Yep, made a pretty hard punt there. This thing right here would be at 2 loyalty right now. One of these would be off the table. So we'd be plus 1 life at the end of this turn. So we go down to 4 when he has double desert and he just drew 2 cards. Yep. My punt may have cost us this game. It'll certainly be hard to win now. Like, all he has to do is have an untapped land and we can't win. It wasn't really even a punt. It was an error through Moto. But we have no out now. Rip. Probably wouldn't have mattered, but still a little frustrating. So we definitely want those cards. I don't think I want, like... I don't think I want these things. That's how I sideboarded last time. I still think it's kind of right. Like, Glorybringer's so bad versus Chandra. It's like so very bad versus... Or not Chandra. It's so very bad versus Chandra's defeat. That's what I'm trying to say. Wonder if Supreme Will's like just better than Glorybringer, but we have like so many threes. Alright, we'll just run it back like this. So yeah, we definitely punted that game. I don't know if it would have affected the outcome of the game at all, but we certainly punted the game in general. I think that was a winnable game on the play. Which was kind of interesting, as bad as our hand was. It was a poor keep from the beginning as well. Alright, this hand's certainly a keep. Hey, Al. Thanks for the bits, man. Al giving us those little 8 biddies. Yes, I said 8 biddies. Appreciate it. Hope your stream's going well tonight. For those who don't know, Alstrosity streams a lot of first-person shooters, some League of Legends, stuff like that. He's a pretty good streamer himself. I believe the last I looked in on him, he was streaming Overwatch this evening. Um, this card's actually strong enough that I kind of want to just play a Lone Tusk. Or kind of like don't want to play a Lone Tusk, but we do have the Harness Lightning, so I think it's fine to take the turn off and try to get our Lone Tusks more powerful. More powerful than you've ever seen. Like, it really makes him like waste his turn using a removal spell or a Kenra. And if he uses a Kenra, that's fine, because we still have the Lone Tusk Cub. Yeah. And then we have the Harness Lightning to kill this out of our way. It kind of like made his turn bad. I'm gonna go ahead and kill this now, just in case this hand is that terrible. I've actually had opponents like discard 5 cards before to draw 2 off the Beaumont. Double Hydra this game, so like if he doesn't have a very good follow-up this turn, we're in pretty good shape. He's got second best creature again. Hazard's obviously best creature. Oh wow, so this hand's insane. Nefer Hub? That's not a Nefer Hub. Alright, well this uses our mana best. Looks like we're gonna get smashed at looks like we're gonna get stopped at the 041 today. That's fine. We'll just block this little dude. Still take a point of damage, but it's a good chance that I just attack him with this Bristling Hydra next turn and try to get the game over with. Oh yeah, if he's not casting anything else to the board, he's certainly getting attacked. One of the things about the red decks is you have to beat them too. Like you can't just sit back and play defense all day because they have enough ambient damage and like their deserts and like random lightning strikes and glory bringers that they draw that like that's just not a good enough plan. So even if he had like a hazard exactly this turn, that's not that bad because it can't block this turn. Cropper's pretty good. Cropper can't really attack those, so it's a good chance I'm just attacking him again next turn with both. Oh wow, he's just attacking with them all? So this card must be bad enough that he doesn't care anymore. So I'm gonna block this thing. We take 4 down to 11. Probably just gonna attack him for 9. Especially if we draw another creature. That's not another creature. I still think it's fine. Makes both of our threats lethal next turn, so he has to have at least 2 blockers from this point on. Well, I guess it doesn't make both of our threats lethal, but makes both of our threats pretty darn close to lethal. I'll rephrase my statement. And he didn't have a removal spell for the Whirler Virtuoso, so that's like 2 more blockers if we need it. If like things did go incredibly wrong. How badly do I care about the Bristling Hydra? Probably enough to save 3 energy for it. Chandra's defeat's one of the reasons that I don't want the Glory Bringers in the deck. So he's got double removal spell, I guess. Even if he has double removal spell, like, wait. So he's just wasted a lightning on it for nothing. It's kind of odd. Karl Zev on the other one, that's fine. We can still just block. So he gets to kill a copter or a Fopter, and that's it. What we got going on here? So one of them has to be chump blocked. And he's hellbent, so. It'll be pretty hard for him to win or to deal 11 damage through 3 lethal attackers next turn. I think opponent had a pretty good hand this game, all except for Hazoret. Yeah, so that's 8. None of that seems to do anything. Cropper and put us at 5, I guess? Okay, I don't know. Alright, so going into game 3, deciding between me and my opponent both getting a 5-0. I'd take 6 packs each right now and just not play this game. But unfortunately, Moto doesn't work like that. This isn't something we can really offer. Alright, so what are we looking at now? Again, I think the Glorybringer's just super underperforming this match. The Chandra's at least a removal spell. The commits, not great, I don't think. Feel like we're going to be tapped out on turn 3 most of the time, so even if we draw a Supreme Will early, that it's not going to do a lot. Hey. He'd have to give me the trophy, of course. I really don't want this Chandra in the deck. But besides taking this Chandra out of the deck, I don't know what to put in it. I don't really want the Negates. I don't want the Supreme Will. I don't want the Glimmer. I don't want the Appetites. I don't want the Chandras. I don't want the Glorybringers. I don't want the Torrential Gearhulks. The commit seems like the least offensive card, but like I don't want it either. Can deal off a Hazoret, but if I'm just like using that to deal off a Hazoret for a turn, I'd have to be ahead on board. And I don't think I'm going to be ahead on board on the draw real often. Maybe we just play the Glorybringer and not care. I'm trying to cut this Glorybringer. Like, I really just don't want this Glorybringer in the deck. Let's try this. I just really don't want Glorybringer in the deck. This can at least kill something when it comes down. Or sometimes it can take over the game, like when you can play it on turn 3 or 4 and then like tick it up and like have a lightning harness in your hand. Or sorry, harness lightning in your hand. Lightning harness. That's a card too, isn't it? That's a card. Yeah, that is a card. No, it's not a card. Alright, well. Alright, not a card. Confirmed. Alright, we'll keep this hand. Opponent's mulliganed. We have 3 removal spells, plus we have all of our lands. It's pretty hard not to keep this hand. It's pretty hard not to keep this hand very fast. For some reason, I was thinking it was like an old invasion block card or something. I thought it was like, kind of like Karl Zev's expertise or whatever. I thought it had basically that effect. That's a good question, Corey. Keeping that G Cup card. I have no idea what that means. I am too owed to keep up with this slang. Opponent kept and put on bottom. Alright, and we're off. And he's got best card. Alright, I guess we'll play this one. Hold up a Chandra's Defeat for maybe a Monkey Maker or a Earthshaker. And like turn 2 we can play one of these other cards. turn 3 we can attune and play one of these other cards. Opponent tapped MTG. So he has to discard 5 cards if he does use it. So if opponent doesn't draw a land, we're in pretty good shape here. You like how I say the most obvious thing that was ever obvious in a million obvious years? This was a mistake. I probably should have used a braid. Yeah, I should have used a braid that turn and kept the harness lightning. No. Maybe using the harness lightning's fine because it makes the long tusk cubs better. Say the most obvious thing that was ever obvious for an obvious person that was obvious. So our opponent clearly got mana screwed, but we had a pretty great draw anyway. Like, we had a fantastic draw. He did mulligan, though, before he kept the hand, right? Um, he says ruining a good match, but I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be a good match for me, isn't it? This uses the mana less efficiently, but I get to get a 4/4 down. Oh, he might have. He might have been just saying that we were having a good match. He's not saying a good match up. I'll rephrase. Sorry. That was rude of me to just assume I knew what opponent meant there. But our hand was insane. So he kind of needs to probably chump block something here. Yeah. It's pretty exciting to potentially pop off this little 5-0, but opponent had a good hand. He just had to looks like he just had to hit a land when he mulliganed there. He got a little unlucky. Yeah, we'll just take it out. Maybe I'm on F6 for an attack step this time. Alright. Well, Peach Garden Oath Temur felt as good as advertised. This deck feels absolutely great. We've caught back up and tied for trophies, which is pretty good considering we actually don't play very much. So comments about this deck. The commit seemed pretty good, but I'm still not 100% sure if it's good in the main deck. It did potentially win us a game. We got to get a Carnage Tyrant with it, which was sweet. We got to hit a Hazard with it in another game, which was pretty sweet. The sideboard felt wonderful. Having access to the Gear Hulks, having access to the, like, we didn't even get paired versus the control deck, so like the negates and the supreme wills and glimmers and stuff didn't feel wonderful, but just knowing that they were there and not feeling like we needed very many tools for the other things just felt wonderful. I don't know if Scarab God needs I don't know if Scarab God needs to be in the deck. I don't know if a fourth Hydra needs to be in the deck, and I don't know if a commit needs to be in the main deck. But like every card in this deck did work. We never drew a confiscation coup the whole tournament, but like there was multiple spots to where like it would have been pretty good, and it's obviously really good versus the other energy based decks. The essence scatters felt wonderful. Um, yeah, overall I really like this build. It's got 22 lands, which I think is a pretty significant staple for energy decks. A lot of energy decks have shaved down to 21 lands. That's felt just horrible. Um, the 7 removal spells in the main deck feel like enough. It's playing the 4 Whirler Virtuosos, where a lot of energy decks play 2 to 3 Whirler Virtuosos, and Whirler Virtuosos always felt like one of the most powerful cards in this build of the deck. It's got the full 4 Long Tusk Cubs, which we absolutely love the Long Tusk Cubs. I've not enjoyed the builds that had only 3. Overall, I really like this deck. Couldn't recommend it more. It felt pretty wonderful. So we're going to find somebody to host, and we're going to hop off tonight. We've got about an hour before League of Legends World starts, and I'm going to go watch it, but I'm going to make some food and stuff beforehand. I appreciate you guys all stopping by, and we're going to look for somebody to host. So it looks like we can host Rich, or we can host Z Magic. I'm a big fan of Rich, and he's probably who I'm going to watch while I eat, even though he's not playing standard. Like, feel like a lot of people can learn from him, so he's who's going to get to host tonight. So anyway, I appreciate all of you guys stopping by. I appreciate the new follows. I appreciate the bits, and remember, follow us if you like what we're seeing, and check out the links down below the stream. Anyway, take care, everybody. Appreciate you coming by. Wait, do you possibly think this is Stewart of that word over one of the... No, I feel like the confiscation coup is pretty important in the Scarab God meta. Like, Scarab God's $50 for a reason. Like, there's just that many of them being played, and confiscation coup is absolutely amazing versus those cards. Also, don't think the Nissa's that great. Like, it takes a while before it can ultimate. It gets negated versus all of the control decks, and like all of the control decks have Veraska. But confiscation coup seems really, really good. Anyway, I mean, we didn't draw it, but like it just feels like it's a very good card. Um, take care, everybody.